of the skies. For the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Holy One, to Thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the beauty of each hour of the day and of the night. Hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Holy One, to Thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. So, dear friends and people and some newbies, maybe, I want to just welcome you to Unity of the Valley's online service. Unity of the Valley is going to go back to in-person pretty soon, so stay tuned. But for now, we get to do this. Through the miracle of technology, we get to come together this way. So I welcome each and every one of you, wherever you are in your heart, and we're so glad that you're here today. We're going to start this morning with a song, an old melody, updated lyrics by our friend and fellow, the Minnesota treasure, Peter Mayer. If you don't know his stuff, go check him out. So you'll recognize this melody, I bet. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, oh, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the boat. Oh, you should sing at home. See if the neighbors can hear you. Well, sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat. Oh. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. Oh, I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat. Oh, the wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat. Oh.
Excellent. What a great way to start. Good morning. Thank you for joining Unity of the Valleys Sunday Cyber Service. I'm Mark Sowell, and I'll be your service leader today. Thank you, Tim Frantzich, for your musical opening. It's certainly appropriate to have you as our guest speaker and musician this Sunday, as Earth Day is this coming Thursday, and you are all about nature and Mother Earth. Also, did any of you catch it in the opening song, the pre-song? He said, "Beauty of the sky," and just on call, a plane flew just over top, which was just awesome. I thought, wow, that's cool. So more about you in a minute, Tim, or Brother Timothy. I thought I'd share with you, speaking of nature, I thought this was a really cool natural thing. If you want to go to the next slide, Catherine, did you know in Arizona, this picture was taken next to a crater. Look how close it came to hitting that visitor center. Isn't that amazing? Crazy. Think about that one if you're not getting it. Sorry. We are blessed to have several volunteers who make this service happen digitally each Sunday. Let me introduce you to our helpers this morning. Tina Reynoso is our back-end Zoom host. Scott Brosey will be our daily word reader. Lynn Beckadall will deliver the prayer box blessing and lead our affirmations. Catherine Belial is our slide manager, and Deanna Reese created our beautiful slides. We are most grateful to all of our volunteers. Now I'd like to introduce you to today's double duty musician and speaker so as not to interrupt the flow of our meditation time. Timothy Frantzich, aka Brother Timothy, grew up near the marshes on the western edge of the Twin Cities. He got his 10,000 hours in with Mother Nature before the age of 10. Timothy grew up in a simple musical family. His mom loved to invent soprano harmonies on family trips as they sang Bill Grogan's Goat and Amazing Grace. Timothy has been singing and songwriting for more than 30 years. He has sung in 1,000 pubs and 1,000 churches. He holds an English literature major from the University of Minnesota and hosts a daily 10 a.m. 15-minute porchcast and a 6 a.m. Sacred Sunrise song live on his personal Facebook page. Join him there too. Timothy now lives near the St. Croix River. Soon he will resume his robust weekly perfection-free community singing circles on Saturday mornings. You can join that group on Facebook as well. Search for Perfection-Free Community Singing Circle with Brother Timothy. Timothy is offering a number of workshops this summer, so check out his website at www.brothertimothy.net. His Earth Day-oriented presentation for us today is titled Saint Tree Hugger. Timothy, welcome back to Unity Valley. We're glad you're here. A few quick reminders, as we always do. Unless you have a role in today's service, please do keep your microphone on mute until the end. Likewise, if you're multitasking, make sure you do turn your camera off so you don't distract from the message, and that's in the lower left-hand corner. And finally, please try not to use the chat feature during the service so as not to distract from the music and the message. Thank you. Now, get comfortable, tune out any distractions, and let in the love and the light. After the service, you're welcome to stay on and say hello to other Unity members and guests during the online social time, and you may then unmute your mics. At this time, we would like to welcome anyone who's watching our service for the first time. Please join me in this special blessing. We offer you peace, love, and friendship. We bless you, and we're glad you're here. So Tim will do a quick short reading, and then we'll have the reading of the daily word, followed by the blessing of the prayer box and the reading of our affirmations.
I'm going to read from the Gospels, from Luke 10, starting with verse 21. Some of you might know this story. At that time, Jesus was full of joy through the Holy Spirit, and he said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you've hidden these things from the wise and learned. You've hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children. Yes, for this is what you were pleased to do. And so there is this, on this one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. Teacher, he said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Well, what is written in the law? He replied. How do you read it? He answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. You have answered correctly, Jesus replied. Do this and you will live. But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? In reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers, and they stripped him of his clothes, they beat him, and they went away and left him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too the Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. And he went to him and bandaged his wounds. He poured oil over him and wine. And when he put the man up on his own donkey and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave it to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense that you have. Which of these 3 do you think was the neighbor to the man who fell into the robber's hands? The expert of the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise.
We now move deeper into spirit with the reading of the daily word. The word for today is pray for others. With mind and heart, I know the truth for each person I hold in prayer. A friend, someone said, knows the truth for you until you can know it for yourself. Praying for friends, family members, and those I haven't met, I center my awareness in the truth that each one for whom I pray is a living expression of God, just as I am. Letting go of fear, I release thoughts of lack, illness, disharmony, or any limitation. I see each person for whom I pray abundantly blessed. I see each one warmed and comforted by divine love that lifts their hearts and brings harmony to their relationships. I affirm their abundant living, guided by divine love, wisdom, and understanding. I see each life unfolding in perfect divine order, enjoying security, health, and joy. The scripture reading is from 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 15. I will pray with the Spirit, but I will pray with the mind also. I will sing praise with the Spirit, but I will sing praise with the mind also. Again, the word for today is pray for others.
This prayer box holds an infinite number of virtual prayers. So I invite you to silently add your own name and the names of anyone in your heart or on your mind who may need prayer support. These virtual prayers are known and will be addressed by the infinite. We know that the truth behind all appearances of disharmony is the divine and perfect presence of the infinite, which we call God, Spirit, or Source. We call forth within all people the wisdom and strength, the love and peace, the wholeness and unit vitality of this perfect presence. We affirm that the requests in our prayer box and in our hearts and on our minds are being resolved in divine timing for the highest good of all concerned. We send love and light not only to these people and circumstances, but to our community, our country, and our world. May the love of God enfold us. May the peace of God uphold us. May the wisdom of God inspire us and help us to know in our hearts that all is well. And so it is. Please join me now in our affirmation for Sunday, April 18th. Together, I am infused with beauty, mystery, and something eternal. I do not separate myself from the great teeming continuum of life that covers this planet and beyond. And our affirmation for our spiritual community, we give thanks that Unity of the Valley is a prosperous, thriving, inspired, connected community. We are growing spiritually and manifesting our dreams and goals in an energy of love, peace, and joy. Namaste.
So this song has two parts, and you're welcome to just join in however you'd like. They go together eventually. There is so much magnificence near the ocean. Waves are coming in. Waves are coming in. Try that at home. There is so much magnificence near the ocean. Waves are coming in. Waves are coming in. The other part goes, Alleluia. you're a harmony person, do that. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You keep singing that. I'll sing the other one. There is so much magnificence near the ocean. Waves are coming in. Waves are coming in. And let's all say hallelujah, but let's say this instead. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. One more time with harmony. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention. Notice. He says, keep looking. Stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself as long as it's interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Everyone has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees, wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. Peace is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. right here. Beauty is now always near. Our miracles coming every day. They reach up, they open, they show us the way. From the sun to the sea, may all beings be free. Black and white, and the rainbow in between, may all beings be free. A Buddhist and Sikh, a Muslim and Jew, the differences be between me and you. We each were born, we each have learned to reach up, to open, to show the way. From the sun to the sea, may all beings be free. Black and white, and the rainbow in between, may all beings be free. May all beings be free. Now here's a little part you can hum or sing at home. Be free. That's what it is. Wake up your falsetto. Be free. One more time. Be free. Oh, the tiny blue fish, the sandhill cranes. I heard sandhill cranes this morning. The sweet grass that grows out on the plains, and the tiny strawberries are hiding from me. They reach up, they open, they show us the way. From the sun to the sea, may all beings be free. Black and white, and the rainbow in between, may all beings be free. May all beings be free. Well, well, well. So, what a treat. I get to do a few songs with you and say a few words. Let me just see here. One of my poems went flying. I'm not sure if I'm going to recover it or not. That's all right. Oh, here it is. Good. So, Michael Meade. Maybe some of you have heard of Michael Meade. He's a great mythologist, storyteller these days, a great teacher. Go find him online. He's worth checking out. One of the rare voices in the wilderness these days, Michael Meade. with an E at the end. And he said that in the early civilizations that when we'd be talking, we'd be teaching, we'd be talking about life, but if it got real big, if it got bigger than words could contain, then we would start singing. Singing was somehow uh, a way of heightening, lifting up certain words of importance. And so, because I like to sing and I like to say a few words a few times a day, I might do that when things get real thick, real good. So, Saint Tree Hugger, this term tree hugger, um, I think it came to me first in the 1980s when this phenomenon on talk radio started to happen. I was painting houses, and I occasionally would listen to this young new voice, Rush Limbaugh, and he would say tree hugger in a derogatory way, right? He would talk about environmentalist wackos and tried to make people embarrassed about having such impulses. And so I think it was first used in a negative way. But this and kind of designed to kind of separate us from nature. And I was thinking about that separation from nature. I think in the Robert Bly wrote a beautiful book of poems he called the News of the Universe, where he really led us by our hand through poems, which were a reflection of society through the 19th century and into the 20th century. People were very enamored with science and what we could do with science, and really decided that we were the premier and dominant species on the planet, and that we should probably just dominate over everything else. And this was the mentality at that time. So in this book of poems, he leads us through poems. Robert Bly does. He shows us the beauty of early poetry and some mystics along the way, and then the return to a feeling of less understanding and controlling nowadays, but more openness to science, most certainly as a truth, but allowing the door open toward the mystery. And so in my childhood church, maybe this is true for you, I certainly was learning about this fallen world, this world of sin, that this was a place that I was just passing through, and that I wasn't really my home. Heaven eventually was my home. So of course there was a lot of brokenness here, and we didn't have to worry too much about it. And so this is kind of how it was. And of course there's a delineation made in my childhood about that nature was creation of God, but not God. So we don't want to confuse ourselves and start worshiping nature itself. So there is this separation again between ourselves and nature. So now we've come to this new place. I found this great verse. I love Bible verses that kind of turn my early theology on their head. And so I found this one today. And I rather like, not today, but this week, I rather like it. It's from Isaiah 48, 6 and 7. From now on, I will tell you of new things, of hidden things unknown to you. They are created now and not long ago. You have not heard of them before today. So you cannot say, yes, I knew them. As if there's like this ongoing creation that's always happening and finding that's always happening. I love that. So this morning I got up, I was a little bit, thinking about this talk today, so I wanted to run through things. And as I stood up in my bedroom, it was about 10 after 6 here in Minnesota, and the sun was just starting to glow. The sun wasn't up. It comes up at 6:17, I guess, today. But it was just starting to glow, and I thought, I'm not going to go into the words. I'm going to go out on the deck. So I went out on the deck, and I stood there facing the sun. And luckily I live my backyard has a lot of birch trees in it, and the sun was coming up, and I decided I'd just stand there for a while and watch the sun come up. And as I stood there quietly, it was just so beautiful. I could hear 2 woodpeckers hammering away. It wasn't anything like a construction site. It was much more of a beautiful sound. And I could hear an owl. I'm not sure if he missed his meal during the night or if he got a good meal. But I could hear him calling in the day. And I could see the lake through the birch trees way down there, shining. They know we have forgotten. They are here to remind us of the possibility in this brief and precious life. They know we have forgotten, and they are here to remind us of the possibility in this brief and precious life. And the woodpecker saying, am I ringing any bells? And the owl's calling, am I ringing any bells? And the sun is saying, am I ringing any bells? And the birch trees are humming, am I ringing any bells? They know we have forgotten. They are here to remind us of the possibility in this brief and precious life. The sun that comes up every morning is so immensely, overwhelmingly generous. I was looking up some stats about the sun. It's 1,000,000 times bigger than our planet. And every second, let's see, every second the sun transforms 4 million tons of itself into light. Every second, the sun transforms 4 million tons of itself into light, which flies out in all directions, and our Earth receives a tiny little sliver. 1/1 billionth of all sunlight is received on our planet. And that sunlight is gathered, and it's all the energy that is here on Earth, and we partake of it every time we take a bite or a sip of food. So I want to read, there's so many poems. The first part of this talk is really about praise for nature. We're used to that. There are so many beautiful songs and poems and talks and dances that are in praise of nature. And here's a good one by Mary Oliver, one of my heroes, called The Sun. Have you ever seen anything in your life more wonderful than the way the sun every evening relaxed and easy floats toward the horizon and into the clouds or the hills or the rumpled sea and is gone? And how it slides again out of the blackness every morning on the other side of the world, like a red flower streaming upward on its heavenly oils, say on a morning in early summer, and it's at its perfect imperial distance. And have you ever felt for anything such wild love? Do you think there is anywhere in any language a word billowing enough for the pleasure that fills you as the sun reaches out, as it warms you as you stand there empty-handed? Or have you too turned from this world? Or have you too gone crazy for power, for things? So Mary Oliver went out into the woods every day. I got to spend a little time with her one time. I sang a song or two before she did a reading out on Block Island, and then I was assigned to sit near her on the ferry boat back to mainland, so no one talked to her too much and bugged her. That was my assignment. And of course, I sat right next to her and I talked to her and bugged her the whole way back, and it was wonderful. And but she said, I remember she said that day when she was talking that she would go out in the woods. It was her assignment. It was her superpower, and she would sit down somewhere way out there. And if she sat, she said, for 15 minutes, at that about 15 minutes into it, the animals decided she was not a threat, or they just forgot about her, whatever it was. And she had all kinds of animals that stepped over her, stepped past her, slithered across her foot, and was very intimate with the beings out there. I always thought that was such a cool idea. So, John O'Donohue, the great Irish poet, now gone, sadly, but you can find so many beautiful writings. He talked about landscape and nature. He talked about if you see a majestic big mountain, if you stand on the north shore of Lake Superior and look out, if you are standing in a marsh, that somehow you see in that it strikes your heart. And the reason it strikes your heart is that it reminds you of your inner majestic landscape, that you're reminded that you also have something big and epic inside of yourself, and the horizon line also disappears inside in your inner landscape. So this connection with nature. So it's well founded, all this beauty, all this praise, all this awe. I'm used to that in a way. I just love collecting those poems and songs. For the Beauty of the Earth, that song I started today off with, that great old hymn. But I want to move into like deciding who is our neighbor, who is our family, who are our friends. I grew inside of my mother, and then I was protected after that and fed by both of my parents. And I grew up with my siblings across the hall, and I later got married, and we had our own children, and that was also family. Of course, all of those are biological family. But my world has been kind of rocked over the last 6 months because I got into a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. Maybe some of you have read this book. It's a beautiful book, Braiding Sweetgrass. I recommend it. And if you're not really into reading so much, there's a wonderful audible version of it where the author herself, Robin Wall Kimmerer, is she reads the whole book. So if you got a good road trip, it's about 14 hours of reading. It's a wonderful book, and you might listen to her voice. She's got a great voice for reading, and she understands it, obviously. So it's really nice to listen to. But she, that book is really about the interdependence and the reciprocity of people and the natural world. So her parents, one was Native American and one was European immigrant born. And so she's one of these prophetic bridge people between cultures. And she grew up in Native American ways and eventually went to the university and eventually wanted to get a PhD in botany and biology. And she had to, of course, have, a committee that oversaw her PhD. And she very much met up with these science-minded people. She had, of course, learned all the scientific language, all the scientific names, the Latin names for plants, and had to defend that at her PhD. And anytime she brought up the native ideas of love for nature, but not only that, but love from nature, the reciprocity of interdependence, she was kind of shamed by the people on those committees, and she had to shelf that, and she thought she would shelf it forever. But as she started to teach again, teach and step into her own strength and power and write some beautiful books. She has a great one on moss, was the first one that came out, and then Braiding Sweetgrass later, and started to win awards for those books and is internationally known now. She's able to embody more and more this idea and entertain these ideas that maybe there's something more than just these scientific ideas around plants and animals. Maybe there's a relationship. Maybe we can talk to each other. She has all kinds of wild ideas to the Western mind or to the academic mind that are so beautiful that she brings in in that book. One of the things that I was really struck by was the language and the native peoples that she comes from are called the Potawatomi. And in the Potawatomi language, compared to English. In English, I'm an English major. In English, we have about 30% of English words are verbs. In the Potawatomi language, 70% are verbs. And we have a lot of objects. We have a phone, we have a birch tree, we have a guitar, and we have a car and a basketball hoop and a tree. Those are our objects. They're away from us. In their language, there are so many verbs because when you see a river, you say, I am rivering, I am treeing, I am breezing. And this sort of becoming, all of these verbs bring us into the actual action of something. It doesn't separate us, but it brings us into the actual living things around us. So I think if I grew up with that idea, right? Think about that for a second. If you're taught this language that you're always, I can hear a bird calling now, I am birding. That's somehow me too. How does that change how you would live? Each connection, each communication, it would remind us in every sentence of our interconnectedness and the reciprocity with nature. We are nature. The notion of separating ourselves is kind of a small idea with great costs. So when I was a child, my biological family, my dog, the marshes around me, amazing thousands of crayfish that appeared every year for a few days at the same time, and salamanders that I knew where to find, and the tree that I would climb up to the top, and no one knew I was up there swaying in the breeze. I now claim that as my family and my neighbors too. I want to show you, see if this works out technically. I want to show you on my screen. It's just kind of a fun meditation to look at comparisons of human bodies and see if you can see this. Let's see if I can do this now. Yeah, so there's this old chant, you know this chant that goes, Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. So this is such a cool one, right? So this comparison of the tree and the lung, seeing how really our twin, our yin yang twin, see how we breathe out CO2 and the tree needs that to grow. And the tree then takes that in and breathes out oxygen. And we need that. And we look so much alike there. That's the lung, and here's a tree. And this is crazy. This is the closest nebula to us, discovered in the 1800s, the Helix Nebula. This is what our sun will eventually turn into. This is roughly the size of our sun, what can happen to a star after when it turns into a red giant and later. So it's such beautiful stuff. So I just wanted to show that to you. I think that's kind of cool. So Robin Wall-Kimmerer, the writer of Braiding Sweetgrass, she would ask her students, and she asks us in the book, do you think that nature loves you back? Of course we love nature, but does it love you back? So this is where the parable of the Good Samaritan comes in for me. I wanted to bring this idea that Jesus talks about who is your neighbor. And this guy asks him, tries to trick him. Actually, he had these academics that were whipping around that knew the Torah and the law so well, and they would go up and they'd try to catch Jesus in his. And then he would usually say something back that would kind of stump them. And this is another one of those situations when he talks about your neighbor being a Samaritan. The first guy walking by the guy that is along the side. First, I was listening to Dr. King talked about this actually on the last night of his life there in Memphis, Tennessee. He brought in this story of the Good Samaritan. And that was also known, the road that went from high up in Israel and down to Jericho wound back and forth through dark kind of corners, and it was known as the Bloody Way because there were robbers on that road. And so the first one walking down, there was a priest, a holy man of all people, and he looked over and thought, if I go over there and what will happen to me? And so he walked by. I think they were probably afraid. There may have been other reasons. Maybe they're in a big hurry or whatever. And the second one that came down, a Levite, was, probably a kinship, a blood kinship, somehow also a Jewish person with the person laying in the ditch, and walked past. And then came the Samaritan, someone that was a different race, a different look. And rather than asking the question, if I go help him, what will happen to me? He turned it around and said, if I don't help him, what will happen to him? And then Jesus uses this example as our neighbor. So I think he's saying that we are all hardwired. We have the ability to extend ourselves this way with compassion. I was thinking about this word compassion because Meister Eckhart, 1300s, Meister Eckhart, great mystic writer, said that if we have to give God a name, if we really have to give God a name, then the name is compassion. 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 I looked up the word compassion, the etymology of the word compassion from the Latin computi, to suffer with. To suffer with. So this is some sort of a gospel truth, a human truth, that we're hardwired to extend ourselves, our feelings of joy, if someone is feeling joy, and our feelings of suffering, that we're able to suffer with people, or at least to have a sense of that. So up here in Minnesota, we can't understand the suffering of people, black people, indigenous people, people of color necessarily. But we can suffer. We can do our best to have compassion for our neighbors that are subjected to unfair violence and death at the hands of some of the police officers. So let's say our neighbor is older and we can see them over there in their house, and we see one day that their house is on fire. What are we going to do? We're going to go over there and we're going to help. We're going to run right over and we're going to help them. So it's just not our physical neighbor, though, but our fellow human beings, right, that are our neighbors, as the story tells us. And not just our fellow human beings, but maybe here, this is a new idea for someone like me and not for the Potawatomi people, but maybe our neighbor, it's not just our fellow human beings, but that marsh that I grew up in, and the crayfish, and the silent support that we get in our lives from nature as our neighbor. So this kind of brings us into a time where, I think the last couple of years I've been on a board of a group here in Minnesota called Water Legacy, and we are opposed to the copper nickel mining, and we have a great lawyer that runs the thing here in Minnesota, and so they're proposing polymet in the Twin Metals mine up in the Boundary Waters, and a few other possibilities here in Minnesota. And it's been 15 years that's been kind of caught up. But during that time, I've always thought in my life that we have these agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency and the Pollution Control Agency and the Department of Natural Resources, that they're doing this work for us. And in actuality, what I've learned over the last couple of years is, maybe you can guess this, but with these international billionaire companies that are putting pressure, that there is some what they call agency capture going on, where at the top of these agencies they will allow and fudge some of the rules, and they're not really protecting us the way that we think they are. And so it's important for us to pay attention as best we can and to get involved in protection of nature. It doesn't have a voice, our neighbor, nature. So what can we do, right? What can we do? I don't think that we have to feel, oh my gosh, that's just like such an immense load. But there are lots of little things we can do, or big things we can do. We talk about, Robin Wall Kimmerer talks about an honorable harvest, to buy organic if possible. Sometimes it's too expensive, but if possible, to support small community farms. And to know your watershed. That's an interesting new idea. When you pour water out in your yard, where does it end up? And is there a problem in your watershed that you can get involved with? A lot of people are getting involved just on their little city councils and talking about water. If everyone does that, it would help so much. Make a garden, grow some food. I heard one time the most revolutionary act in America is to grow your own food. We're so involved in people bringing us food, we don't even know whose hands have touched it. And speak out on social media to support other, people that are Black, Indigenous, people of color in their struggles. Join in with people in the streets that are there. I don't know what your style is. Buy less plastics. Tell the supermarket that you're annoyed with plastics. They're everywhere. Be creative, whatever you would bring to the table. Shift your thinking. Maybe plant some sweetgrass. Talk to the sweetgrass. That's what she tells us to do. It grows better that way. Tell it that you love it. Give it a hug. Hug a tree. So I want to end my talk here with a Navajo blessing. The Navajo healing ceremonies are all begun with these words. Every single healing ceremony. In beauty it's begun. It's not shame. That's not motivating for us. In beauty it's begun. So there's this chant that goes, in beauty it's begun. In beauty it's begun. In beauty it's begun. It's beautiful to the left of me. It's beautiful to the right of me. It's beautiful below me. It's beautiful above me. It's beautiful in front of me. Beautiful behind me. It's beautiful around me. It's beautiful inside of me. In beauty it's begun. In beauty it's begun. So I want to end up with one last song here. I've been messing around with Woody Guthrie's big hit. Woody Guthrie, a folk singer who lived 1930s, 1940s. He rambled around and wrote songs for every person, not just the church or somebody like that. So he wrote this song to put our feet on our ground. The great history behind This Land Is Your Land is God Bless America was playing on the radio all the time at that time, and Woody was going crazy. He's driving around going, I hate this song. I do not like this song. It's just floating around. There's nothing about this song that motivates anybody. It just floats around. So he wrote this song in reaction to that, to put its feet on the ground. But now I'm thinking about the philosophy that we talked about today, about claiming our nature as our neighbors. And I changed the words a little bit. When the sun comes shining and I was strolling, the wheat fields waving, the dust clouds rolling, a voice was chanting as the fog was lifting. Oh, this land was made for every living thing. See, it's not just your land, and it's not just my land. From California to the New York Island, it's the redwood forests, and it's the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for every living thing.
Thank you, Brother Timothy. Wonderful, wonderful. I love your acoustic music. I always talk about it. Such a big acoustic guitar fan, and wow, good, lots of good stuff in here to digest. I mean, I've. By the way, do I look tree huggerish with
You
my
do.
all my woods in the background and my shirt, right? One of the reasons I have been attracted to Unity was really because of that primary message you mentioned, that not, as I was taught, it's the creation of God, but not God, but God is everything. That message was big for me. So I and just looking through my notes here, I mean, the interconnectedness, even just within all your messages, was fantastic and really interesting on the Potawatomi with that 70% verbs and I'm birding. Just a lot of really good information there. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, all of us who are fond of Unity community are immensely grateful for your monetary contributions and participation in our services to keep us going during this pandemic period. As we give our time, talents, and treasure with gratitude and an open heart, we affirm the blossoming of our own prosperity and that of Unity of the Valley. Let's read the love offering affirmation together, and then you'll have time during a musical interlude to consider your love offering. You may make your contribution after the service either by mailing a check to the center or via the donate button on our website. Again, thank you, and may you be blessed with more financial good for any contribution you choose to make. Please join me in this love offering affirmation. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am.
For the joys of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above, pleasures pure and undefiled, Holy One, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Now I invite everyone to join me in blessing all contributions and good of any kind so generously given to support Unity of the Valley this week. We affirm that God is our source and we are the channels. We bless these gifts given in love that serve our spiritual family, and flow out into our community and beyond. We are prosperous and blessed with abundant good. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. All right, announcements. Remember to hop on the Facebook page Tuesdays at 11 a.m. for live half-hour guided and silent meditation. Kathleen Navarre, Sherry Johnson, and Lynn Beckedahl alternate to lead this beautiful meditation. Another meditation opportunity is Catherine Belisle's monthly hour-long max meditation of guided and silent meditation plus visualization, which this month is Monday, April 26th from 7 to 8 p.m. The love offering of $10 while we're meeting online goes to our center. Thank you, Catherine. Next, the great news is we will be opening the center for services beginning May 2nd. With our new camera and equipment, we'll also be able to live stream the service for those who choose to wait longer to attend in person. Yes, masks and other protocols will still be in effect, but it's a step towards normalcy. Watch for more details. With that, we'll need a number of volunteers on reopening day and going forward. Please contact board member Sandy Van Kampen if you're willing to help. Let her know during social time after the service or check the buzz for her contact information and a list of possible duties. Jennifer Stevens and Catherine Belisle will make sure all volunteers are trained as needed before the reopening. We are needing quite a few yet, so please do, if you can offer your services, we would appreciate it. We also need people for the nominating committee to find new prospective board members by next fall. If you're willing to serve on this committee, please let Catherine Belisle know during social time or contact her later. Her contact info is in the buzz. Next Sunday, April 25th, our guest speaker will be New Thought Minister Reverend Joan Bewald from the Center for Spiritual Living, Minneapolis. And our musicians will be Amy and Mark Adams, or as they call themselves, Amy and Adams. Don't miss it. And finally, if you don't receive the weekly buzz and would like to, you can opt in on our website, unityofthevalley.mn.org, or email us at info@unityofthevalley.mn.org. You may submit prayer requests to our prayer chaplains at the same email address or have them call you. And we also encourage you, as always, to like our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and visit our website to learn more about us. Please now join me in our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds me. I am that light. The love of God enfolds me. I am that love. The power of God protects me. I am that power. The presence of God watches over me. I am that presence. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever God is, I am. And all is well. And my quote for the week, obviously, Earth Day coming, an Apache blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. Thank you again for being with us today. Be well and stay connected with Unity. If you'd like to be part of the Zoom social afterwards, please just stay on and unmute yourself and say hi to your Unity friends and guests. We'll conclude now as Brother Timothy who leads us into our closing song.
So this is one of the last, Pete Seeger lived into his 90s. This is one of the last songs he wrote. When we look, we can see things are not what they should be. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. We say that again. When we look, we can see. That's for you. Things are not what they should be. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Here we go now. He's hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. Well, there's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. We say that again. There's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Here we go now. He's hoping we'll all pull through. hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. When we look, oh, let's see, the next one goes like this. So when drill, baby, drill, turns to spill, baby, spill, God's counting on me, God's counting on you. So let's say it. So when drill, baby, drill, turns to spill, baby, spill, God's counting on me, God's counting on you. He is hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. Well, there's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Let's say that again. There's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. He is hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. Don't give up, don't give in. Working together we all can win. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Sing it at home, come on. Don't give up, don't give in. Working together we all can win. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. He is hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. And what we do now, you and me, it will affect eternity. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Oh, what we do now, you and me, will affect eternity. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Here we go, got your harmony. Hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. So when we sing with younger folks, we will never give up hope. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Oh, when we sing with younger folks, we can never give up hope. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Last one is hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. He is hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. Thanks so much, Unity. So good to be with you. Take care.